Picture the richest person alive today, tech mogul, rocket launches, the works. Think of the headlines, the luxury, the influence. Now imagine someone whose wealth was so immense, it would make today's billionaires look like mere amateurs in the world of riches. Imagine vaults overflowing with gold, treasures beyond your wildest dreams, and a fortune so vast it's almost impossible to measure. This isn't just a story of money, it's a story of unimaginable power and influence. This was Mansa Musa, emperor of the Mali Empire in the 1300s, an African king whose fortune was beyond calculation. His name may not be in your textbooks, but his legacy shaped continents. His story isn't just about gold, it's about power, faith, and changing the world's view of Africa. Mansa Musa's reign brought scholars, architects, and artists together, turning his empire into a center of learning and culture. Mansa Musa's legendary pilgrimage to Mecca was so extravagant it broke economies along the way. He gave away so much gold that cities along his route experienced inflation for years. His caravan stretched for miles, a moving city of gold, making a statement to the world. West Africa was powerful, sophisticated, and rich. The world had never seen anything like it. This isn't just a tale of wealth, it's a story that challenges everything you thought you knew about history. Mansa Musa's journey put Africa on the map, literally and figuratively. For too long, Africa's history has been ignored or misrepresented. Mansa Musa's story changes that. His legacy is a reminder of Africa's rich and complex past. He was a visionary, a builder, a scholar, and a man of deep faith. He transformed cities like Timbuktu into centers of knowledge and spirituality. His journey connected Africa to the world in ways never seen before, opening new trade routes and forging alliances that would last for centuries. Get ready to meet the real king, the richest man you've never heard of, whose story is finally being told. So, who was Mansa Musa? Why does his name echo through history as one of the most legendary rulers the world has ever seen? First, let's clear up his name. Mansa isn't his first name. It's a royal title, meaning emperor or king of kings. Musa was his given name, and together, Mansa Musa means Emperor Musa, a title that carried immense power and respect. Musa Keita II ruled the vast Mali Empire from 1312 to 1337. At its height, the empire stretched across much of West Africa, covering lands far beyond the borders of modern-day Mali. It was a realm of incredible diversity, culture, and influence. Musa didn't inherit the throne in the usual way. He became emperor after his predecessor mysteriously vanished on an ambitious Atlantic expedition, leaving Musa to step up and lead the empire into a new era. The Mali Empire was literally sitting on half the world's known gold reserves at the time. Gold flowed through its cities, markets, and palaces, making it a beacon of wealth and prosperity. But it wasn't just gold. The empire controlled the most important trade routes for both gold and salt. Salt back then was as essential as the internet is today. Everyone needed it to survive. And Mali had it in abundance. With this control, Musa became the richest man on earth. His fortune was so vast, it's almost impossible to measure by today's standards. But Musa was more than just wealthy. He was a visionary leader, intelligent, ambitious, and determined to make Mali a center of learning, culture, and influence on the world stage. He was also a devout Muslim, and his faith shaped his rule. It inspired him to embark on the most legendary journey of his era, a pilgrimage that would change history. Musa wasn't content to simply enjoy his riches or rule from his throne. He wanted to build, to learn, and to leave a legacy that would outlast him. He invested in grand construction projects, supported scholars, and transformed cities like Timbuktu into centers of knowledge and culture. But his next move would be his boldest yet, a pilgrimage to Mecca that would stun the world, showcasing Mali's power and wealth to everyone he met along the way. Mansa Musa was about to embark on a journey so extraordinary, it would be talked about for centuries. Let's follow him and see how he changed history forever. In 1324, Mansa Musa, the legendary emperor of Mali, set out on the Hajj to Mecca, but this was no ordinary pilgrimage. It would become one of the most extraordinary journeys in human history, a spectacle that would echo across continents and centuries. He brought with him an astonishing entourage of 60,000 people, soldiers to protect the caravan, officials to manage the logistics, entertainers to lift spirits, merchants to trade, and thousands of attendants to serve. The sheer scale was unprecedented, a moving city crossing the sands. Everyone in the procession wore the finest silks and brocades, shimmering in the desert sun. But the real spectacle was the gold. 500 heralds marched with golden staffs, and 100 camels, each carried hundreds of pounds of gold dust, their loads glittering with unimaginable wealth. It was a river of wealth flowing across the Sahara, a sight so dazzling that it became legend. Stories of this journey would be told and retold, growing more incredible with each telling. The journey spanned nearly 4,000 miles, an epic logistical feat that required careful planning, immense resources, and unwavering determination. The caravan braved scorching days, freezing nights, and endless dunes. Musa's caravan was a moving oasis, perfectly organized and supplied. Tents were pitched at every stop, food and water distributed, and the needs of thousands met with precision. It was a marvel of medieval organization. Along the way, he built mosques in every town he stopped, leaving a trail of faith and architecture that would inspire generations. These acts of devotion transformed the landscape and enriched the communities he visited. When they reached cities like Cairo, people were left speechless by the scale and generosity of Musa's caravan. Gold was given so freely that it changed local economies and left a mark on history. This wasn't just a pilgrimage, it was a global announcement. Mali was a force to be reckoned with, a kingdom of immense power, faith, and wealth. Musa's journey was a masterclass in public relations, diplomacy, and leadership. He forged alliances, inspired awe, and elevated Mali's status on the world stage. He showed the world the power, faith, and sophistication of his empire. The world took notice, and Mali's legend grew. This was Africa's golden age on full display, a time of prosperity, culture, and influence that shaped history. And the legend was just beginning. Mansa Musa's epic road trip would inspire awe for centuries to come, a testament to the heights of human ambition and the enduring power of a single journey. When Mansa Musa arrived in Cairo, he was welcomed as a powerful Muslim ruler, but his generosity was so extreme, he flooded the city with gold, giving to officials, merchants, and the poor. He gave away so much that gold's value crashed, and Egypt's economy took over a decade to recover. Imagine someone handing out free iPhones until they're worthless. That's the scale. On his return, Musa even tried to fix the problem by borrowing gold back at high interest. His visit changed how the world saw West Africa. Before Musa, European maps barely showed Africa. After, Mali was front and center. The 1375 Catalan Atlas even depicted him on a golden throne, holding a massive nugget. Musa literally put his empire on the map. His wealth brought prestige, but also sparked European interest in Africa's riches. The world would never forget the king who broke the bank. Mansa Musa didn't just return from Mecca with souvenirs, he brought back ideas, scholars, and architects. Inspired by cities like Cairo, he transformed Timbuktu into a world-class center of learning and culture. He built grand mosques, including the famous Djinguerbir Mosque, designed by architect Abu Ishaq al-Sahili. Musa founded the University of Sankore, making Timbuktu a magnet for scholars, poets, and artists. The city's libraries held priceless manuscripts, making books more valuable than gold. Timbuktu became a beacon of knowledge, attracting the brightest minds from across Africa and beyond. Musa invested his fortune in education and culture, building a legacy that outlasted his gold. Under his rule, Mali was rich not just in gold, but in ideas and scholarship. He proved true wealth is measured by the minds you cultivate. His empire became a sophisticated civilization whose influence echoed for centuries. Mansa Musa's story is packed with jaw-dropping moments. As King of Kings, he ruled over a vast empire and many lesser kings. His Hajj was so extravagant, even his slaves carried gold bars. Musa's generosity was legendary. Historians recorded how he showered cities with gold. A decade after his visit, Cairo was still talking about him. His name became synonymous with unimaginable wealth and generosity. In Timbuktu, the libraries he funded held hundreds of thousands of manuscripts, more than the Library of Alexandria at its peak. Under Musa, Timbuktu became a global center of learning, preserving knowledge for generations. He built not just an empire of gold, but an empire of the mind. That's a legacy more valuable than any treasure. Why does Mansa Musa matter today? Because his story shatters stereotypes about African history. He shows us an Africa of wealth, power, and learning, far from the narrow stories we've been told. Musa's legacy is a lesson in true wealth. He used his fortune to build, educate, and connect. He invested in people, infrastructure, and knowledge. His goal wasn't just to be rich, but to build a lasting civilization. Musa's journey was a bold declaration of African excellence and faith. He reminds us that greatness comes from everywhere, and Africa's history is filled with it. His story is a real-life epic. Gold, adventure, and a hero who changed the world. It challenges our perceptions and inspires us to learn more. Mansa Musa, wasn't just the richest man in history, he was a visionary whose legacy still shines. The untold riches of Africa's past are waiting to be rediscovered.